All right, kia ora everyone. Welcome along to tonight's group coaching call. We've got a guest presenter today, Jade from Jade Winter Nutrition. Now, Jade holds a Bachelor of Sports and Leisure Studies, as well as a Master's in Health Science, where her focus was human nutrition. And she also researched bone health, menstrual cycle, and nutrition amongst female athletes. Now, if you think Jade's just a brainy box that sits and does a whole lot of research, she does more than just that. She's represented New Zealand at the World ITU Long Course Championships a few moons ago, and she's currently preparing for the Coast to Coast as well. So, without further ado, I'll hand you over to Jade and let her take you through her presentation.
Cool. Thanks, Ray. I'm just going to admit some more people in. I can just see a couple more in the waiting room, so I'll just let them
Perfect.
in and let them pop up. Cool. Kia ora. That was a really lovely introduction, Ray. Thank you very much. Nice to be here tonight. Thanks for inviting me along. Kia ora to those who have just joined us. I'm just going to share my screen with you and hope that it plays ball. And then my next challenge will be to stick to time so you're not all. Oh, is that working?
Not yet. I see a couple of people shaking their heads.
No, okay, that's cool. Oh, do you know? I know what I did. It's all good. I opened my PowerPoint, but I didn't actually click share. Um,
There we go. That's looking good.
so here we go. I'm just going to start it from the beginning. Can everyone see my slides okay?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Um, cool. Hi, everybody. I am Jade. My mum's in the audience too, and I'm trying not to catch her eye every 5 seconds. Oh, yeah, she's just popped off my screen, so that's good. Sorry, mum. Um, and yeah, really cool to be here. I am just getting back into long court or sport in general after having babies. So I've got a 3-year-old tomorrow and a 5-year-old. And sport, I guess you could say, endurance sports in my blood, with mum having done it right through pregnancy with me, actually. And so, yeah, I do have a bit of a passion for this stuff. And so, really cool that Ray's asked me to come along and talk to you guys. I'm here as a resource, so there'll be time at the end to ask any questions, get any clarification. Tonight's session is very much going to be an introduction. Yeah, so I will talk about the reason for my madness here in a minute, but the first session, crunching the basics. So really the first 5 things you need to be nailing if you're going to get the best out of your body in anything really, but particularly in endurance sport, which we know has significant demands on the system. A little bit about me first. I'm not going to bore you with this, but I think it's really important to know where people have come from in their journey. So, my personal why, this top photo was a picture of me doing the Tauranga Half Ironman in 2013, I believe. 21 years old, 55 kilos, nutrition deficiencies, stress fractures all over the place. Really believing that, and sort of in a culture whereby, the leaner you were, the lower body weight you had, it essentially meant better performance. And there were no concerns raised at all, even with sports doctors at the time, around menstrual cycles disappearing, which we know now is a massive red flag for female athletes. No increase in performance despite quite a high workload. The picture down below was taken in 2018, I believe, so about 5 years later. 12 kilos heavier, won a 10.5 hour race with my best friend and running the fastest I'd ever run. So, and at that point, regularly menstruating, no injuries, no deficiencies. My professional why is very much around, obviously I have a passion area for the female body, and, what's normal and what's not. Really big on challenging that societal pressure, and the impact of understanding our body, and minimizing that risk of underfeeding, and really just being quite sensible and pragmatic about how we look after our body. Is it going to let me? Cool. So the first pyramid there, we've got sort of upside down. This is what most people do. Yeah, so the top one, supplements, we're going to nail those supplements first. We're going to go into Health 2000 or insert business here. We're going to buy whatever pops up on Facebook, or we're going to listen to whatever Joe, his friends, whoever down the road have told us to take. Then we might think about eating enough around training, and then maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to nailing the basics. Yeah. What Qwik Kiwi athletes are going to be doing, particularly at the end of these three, is sorting out those basics first. Yeah. So that real idea of that's actually where we're going to get the most benefits is getting those first five things. On top of that, then we can start looking at our training, our fueling, our recovery, more of our specifics around nutrition. And then on the top there, we've got our cream on, our cherry on the top, which is our race nutrition, planning, supplements, and sports foods. And it's really important to recognize that top part of the pyramid is only actually going to work if you've got the bottom two layers sorted. Yeah, it's all going to crumble off and look quite messy if we skip those two first steps. Yeah, it's like hopping on a time trial bike before you can ride a road bike. It's probably going to be quite uncomfortable and probably not that effective. So we're going to do this in a sort of a three-step approach. And, they might seem really boring, these next five things. You might come up, you might think, really, like, am I here listening to this? But yeah, I just know for myself and for all of the thousands or many athletes that I've worked with that this is what we need to do. First thing, real simple, and probably something that Mrs. Whoever in grade 5 tried to drill into us, or Harold the giraffe in the life education van tried to drill into us back when we were 10. Eat your vegetables. Yeah, so fruit and vegetables full of prebiotics, antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, all of which you need to be a healthy athlete. Yeah, so typically we say 5+ a day, or at least we have since the 90s. Now we know that 7 to 10+ a day is going to give you a huge advantage, immune system wise, gut health wise, and certainly from a anti-inflammatory, pro-recovery point of view. So real quick ways you can do this, and I'm happy to share the slides afterwards. Recovery smoothie, really easy way to do it, particularly for if you're busy or maybe you're not a big fan of eating fruit or vegetables. Really easy way to do it. Obviously adding fruit to your protein yogurt. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Adding a handful, a real big one, Mum will tell you, and she's probably cringing at this, about the whole handful of baby spinach to everything, So if you're having, obviously not with your bowl of ice cream, but if you're having a salad or a wrap or whatever, handful of baby spinach, and it goes, get those polyphenols in. Grate your veggies into your bolognese, chili con carne, grate the apple into your porridge or your granola. Slap that avocado on before you throw your eggs on toast. Pickled cabbage if you're that way inclined. Good for gut health. But basically go hard on the veggies. Yeah, so really think about that. A note on vitamin C. Everyone's all about taking vitamin C supplements at this time of year. Don't bother. Eat your fruit and vegetables. Absolutely no evidence to high dose vitamin C at all. So leave them behind. You're better off having an orange or some kiwi fruit and actually getting the fiber and other goodies that you're going to get alongside the vitamin C. Protein. a protein source with every meal. So protein is per gram the most expensive macronutrient, but it's also the most important to facilitate muscle growth, repair, and recovery. I've had athletes come and see me that I are like, why am I not improving? Why am I not getting stronger? I'm going to the gym, I'm not skipping sessions. They're consuming half the amount of protein they need a day. It's not their fault. They're following the Ministry of Health guidelines, but quite frankly, they're just not there when it comes to sports nutrition or sports nutrition for particularly perimenopausal or menopausal athletes. So what we're looking at, I'll talk quickly about what we're looking at in terms of quantity in a moment. But I really just want you to know that vegetable sources, so our lentils, beans, peas, grains, nuts, cereals, they are a source of protein. They are not a complete protein. Yeah, so what that means is that they don't have all the essential amino acids required for protein synthesis. So, what that means is that if you're a vegetarian athlete, you need to combine sources. So, if you're having like brown rice, for instance, you'll chuck some lentils or beans with those. If you are having whole grain toast, you'll throw some peanut butter or almond butter or something like that. Quite often it happens naturally for those athletes, but also quite often they need a bit of help to make sure they're getting enough. This is what sort of common foods, I guess, have protein and good amounts of protein and how much protein. Rough ballpark. I should have put a disclaimer on this. This is like quite general sports nutrition. I realize that I've got quite a varied audience here. Roughly 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight a day we're looking at. For recovery, minimum of 20 grams of protein, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Remembering that grains contribute, yes? So if we are going a couple of eggs on toast, we're looking at sort of 21 grams of protein. Add some cheese in there, we're looking at sort of 30. So it doesn't take long for that protein to start adding up if we're really smart and we plan it. Something to consider here is that, I know protein powders in particular are super popular. I've certainly started using one since I've been training again. Really, really good. They have a place. What I don't like seeing with protein powders is when we use them multiple times a day instead of normal food. And the reason for that is because they're low in energy, so that, it really is just protein. They don't typically add fat or extra carbs or anything in there. And with just a protein powder, we're not getting the iron, we're not getting the zinc, we're not getting the calcium, all the other minerals that we're going to be getting out of all of these other more natural or whole, by saying whole food, that's a bit trendy, isn't it? I mean like food that you chew or, food that you make and digest. Um, Oh, this is just me trying to be creative. More than an hour of training, you need to fuel before you shower. There you go. Um, so if you're training for more than an hour, particularly a moderate to hard session, I really don't want you getting home and hopping in the shower and then, after you've got dressed and put your moisturizer on, then you start thinking about food. Yeah, because you've missed that recovery window completely. Um, so within half an hour. So if you've done a really hard session or you've been out and you've done like a 2 to 3 hour brick or you've like really smashed it in the gym or Ray's had you on that velocity and you're just about spewing into a bucket. No, just kidding. I'm sure it's hopefully not that bad. Then you will want to be having a good hit of protein and a good hit of carbs relatively quickly. Yeah. No point in doing that if you're not going to fuel before and during, which we'll talk about. Okay. But the baseline is more than an hour, you need to fuel before you shower. And what that looks like now, okay, before we go into this in our next session, probably, can actually be anything. So I don't really care what it is at this point. It could be an up and go. It could be a cup of chocolate milk and and a banana. It could be a peanut butter sandwich. It could be a protein yogurt squeezy. I don't really care what it is at this point. We can build on that in the next session. But just start really thinking more than an hour. Start having something before you get in that shower. This is just more recovery ideas. Again, more than happy to share these slides with the group so you can actually go through them and have a look. I realize that this is probably quite a lot of information. You'll see here though, a lot of, who doesn't love a flat white on a cold day? I certainly love coffee, so I've incorporated that into these recovery guidelines. So if you're doing a coffee ride or something like that, you can totally have your flat white. Like that milk counts as protein in that flat white. Just whack a protein bar or some nuts and an apple with it to make sure you're hitting the rest of your recovery goals. Everybody should be taking vitamin D. Yep, so I'm not usually one to recommend supplements to everybody, but vitamin D is one that I have no hesitation in recommending everybody take. The light blue in the people on the side there are is the percentage of people that are not deficient or depleted in vitamin D. In New Zealand. So we know that it's really hard to get enough vitamin D. Personally, in the times that I've tested or had clients test their vitamin D, I reckon I could count on one hand the number of people that are over that 50 mark without supplementation. We know more now that 90 to 100 is better. And actually 50, we start worrying about bone health and start seeing decreased immune function, maybe decreased mood, which markedly improves when we top that vitamin D up. Vitamin D is quite cheap to supplement, so clinicians do a really good product. I've got up there. The one below that is 5,000 international units, which is not sold in New Zealand. So New Zealand will only sell up to 1,000 international units, which is fine for most people. I typically recommend most people start at 1 to 2 of those clinicians' tablets a day. And if you were to take the one below, it would be sort of 1 to 2 a week. A lot cheaper, but you do need to buy it from iHerb and pay the shipping on that. And 5, regular eating. So, we really want to be looking at 3 main meals and snacks, ideally around sessions to facilitate that fueling and recovery. So this is actually an example day for me. I should add an example day for me when everything goes swimmingly, not an example day for me all the time. But this is a Tuesday for me, so I have 2 sessions. Wake up, have a Bobby banana, usually still while I'm in bed, just grappling with my thoughts of whether to get up or not. And then I do my gym session, I get home, smash a smoothie and a seeded bagel. And then, have a coffee mid-morning, lunch. So around about an hour before that next session will be a good dose of carbs in the kumara, roast chicken, baby spinach, hummus, whatever else I can find in the fridge. Then there'll be that kayak session, which is typically 1 to 2 hours, in which I will have full carb electrolytes as well, just because I know the afternoon's typically crazy. Then we have, recovery snacks in the car, kid run, and then dinner, and can never go to bed and sleep without having dark chocolate and herbal tea. So that's kind of what a day looks like when you're thinking about fueling and recovery as well. And so you see how it becomes really important to actually include food you enjoy there too, you know. So if you pick what your wee vice is. For me, it's chocolate. It goes in somewhere. Some people are all about having a couple of chocolate biscuits. If that's you, then you might use them as something to have prior to a session, depending on what it is, or during. So it's just it's very individual. It's what works for you, but making sure that those meals are regular, um, so that you're getting enough. I feel like I just blurted out a whole lot of information and probably took too long. But next session will be all about sort of training, so how you fuel, um, fueling options, recovery, and what we're looking for in terms of red flags. So, what we don't want to see, and if we see them, how to fix it, basically. And I haven't talked to Ray about this yet, but maybe it would be good or useful for me, I guess, if you did have specific questions around that, to maybe pop them in a chat or a comment box or something on that page, Ray, and then I can address them in that um,
Yeah,
next.
that'll be perfectly fine. If I'll put in into the Qwik Kiwi VIP group a topic area, and then anyone that has any questions they want covered, they can add them into the comments below. Just before we get into the questions, I think it'd be handy to sort of sum things up. That pyramid you had at the start, Jade, was absolutely fantastic. But it's a bit like a cake in my head. You can have a rubbish cake and you can put icing on it and it looks nice, but at the end of the day, it's still a rubbish cake. So if you've got to have that base cake really good before you can put that icing on and get any benefit from it. And in terms of the five key points, eat fruit and veggie, protein sources at every meal. You need to rebuild to recover. If training is for more than an hour, refuel before you shower. That's going to be coming out, especially on those Tuesday morning velocity sessions. And vitamin D for everyone, even those of us that live in sunny Hokitika, need to keep that topped up. And the fifth and final one, regular eating, three main meals plus snacks plus the spinach.
Don't forget the spinach. And also, like the cake, I do definitely agree with that. Anyone that's a friend of mine on Facebook will see that Jack turns 3 tomorrow, and I made a chocolate cake and he hacked into it, and cut it up into pieces before I had a chance to ice it and decorate it. So, the cake's a bit of a sore point at the moment, but we got there. But yes, absolutely, without that foundation. And I honestly would have to say, like, there's two big mistakes I see in athletes, and it always makes me a little bit sad because typically they're training really well, they're really doing everything they can. But the first thing is underfueling, whether it's inadvertent or unintentional, or they do believe that that is going to improve their performance. And the second one is just that, getting sucked into all those fads, having the goos or the gels or the chomps or the supplements or the whatever, but not eating regularly, not getting their 5 plus a day, not looking after their gut health, and then yeah, it all turns to shit literally on race day. Yeah.
Perfect. If anyone has any questions, we'll go through the group in the normal fashion. There's a few of you on the call today. I didn't pay attention as to who turned up. Well, actually, I do know who turned up first because that was Jason because he was logged in 20 minutes early. But to keep things simple, we'll just go from top left on my screen and move to the right. So, Tanya, your first cab off the rank using that method.
Okay. Kia ora, Jade. Hi, love. Um, I have the benefit, excuse me, of having Jade been able to give me feedback and advice. So I won't take up much time. I don't actually have any questions at this stage.
Perfect. Thanks, Tanya. Well, moving on to you then, Diane.
Oh, look, no questions, but it was really good information. I mean, I'm definitely not an athlete like most of the people are on this call, but and saying that, I still like to keep healthy and a little bit fit. So it was really good information. So it's very worthwhile.
Thanks, Diane. I have to just interrupt there. Anybody that is intentionally exercising is an athlete.
Mm.
Let me just say that. The other thing is that in my experience clinically and my experience studying this, but studying female athletes in my thesis, is that it's actually often, not always, the active women, I should say, that do not classify themselves as athletes or doing much exercise that are under fueling. Yeah. So I'll just say that you are allowed to classify yourself as an athlete because you are intentionally exercising.
Thank you.
You go.
I like your definition there, Jade. My definition is simple. If I'm coaching you, you're an athlete. But yours is a little bit more precise. So thanks for that. Jamie, you're up next.
Cheers, Ray. As you can see from that, I don't underfuel. But big one for me is I'm trying to lose weight, but also build muscle at the same time, just so that I can have that in longevity for what I'm trying to do. So that's one of my key ones. Plus, I've got a bunch of food allergies that aren't, I'm going to die, just I'll come out in hives or a spew. So I've got those considerations. And also being a parent, like we're not doing 3 different meals just to appease me kind of thing. So that's the guts of it from this end.
Yeah, good one, Jamie. I'll keep those things in mind for the next presentation. I have to say I totally get what you mean, particularly by the not wanting to cook a million meals. We have gluten-free and vegetarian needs in our household. And also, like, I dined on white bread pizza with just cheese on it tonight, the scraps from the kids, and half a yogurt I found, and a few peaches. So, like we're all human after all. And I think parents or anyone that's busy, but us parents are often dining off our kids' scraps. So we need to make whatever we feed our kids like, premium top notch, Kai. Um, so that we too get that. Anyway, I'm with you. The muscle gain weight loss situation I can probably cover off in that next session, but I know that I know the theory behind what how you get there, and that is training, and it's just really good recovery from your sessions, and the rest of your diet being a good, nourishing diet with lots of fruit and veg. Like everything that we've just talked about will get you there eventually. It's the crashing, the crash dieting, the underfuel one day. Eventually, your body's desire to return to homeostasis makes up for that, and you can find yourself in the McDonald's drive-through or eating a box of Magnums. Speaking from experience, so we can go over that a little bit more in the next one.
Jason,
Cheers.
moving on to you. But before I get to you, I'll just give Gareth a prompt. I know his microphone and camera aren't working today, but if you've got any questions, Gareth, feel free to drop them in the chat, and that way they're there when we get round to you. Jason.
Yeah, sorry about that. First of all, thanks, Jade. Very informative. No real questions. I think probably just more of an observation that almost all 5 of those seem to resonate quite well with me. Bit of a surprise to see, I guess, the levels of protein, and I think for me the big takeaway is probably the fueling pre-shower, because I'll normally be home straight into the shower and then worry about the food afterwards, where it's probably not doing the best in terms of recovery and refueling and that sort of thing. So yeah, no, thanks. It's given me some good things to take away.
Yeah, no worries. I think many of us, I mean, obviously, if you're freezing cold and you've been out biking in the rain, you're going to want to get warm pretty quickly. But even, even in those cases, grabbing something is going to be helpful, even if it's a hot chocolate on the way home or, something, just getting something into you. And then when you are warm and not hypothermic, then you can, have something to eat. So be sensible about it as well. Obviously if you're shivering and your hands aren't working, don't try and cook something. But if you can just get something, and that is where, dare I say it, things like protein bars and up and go energizers. I'm a massive fan of them. People like to buy expensive protein powders that, quite frankly, in my opinion, taste like cardboard. Um, but the old up and go energize or chocolate milk will actually do a really good job often as well.
Awesome. Moving on to you, Jess.
Well, Jason kind of said the thing that I was going to say about the shower. I'm kind of one to shower and then have breakfast as well. I think it makes it get my breakfast all sweaty, but I probably snack on something first and then have a shower and then make breakfast. But no, that was probably the one takeaway from me. And it was very good to just, I think, re-hear things that you might have already known, but like actually seeing them all together is really, really good to actually see and refresh your mind, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, Jess.
Taylor.
Um, this is good timing actually because I have a confession to make in that I had a long run today and I didn't have breakfast first, and then afterwards I chose something that spoke to my heart, not my brain. And so I felt sick all day and didn't eat. So I learned my lesson today. So this is good timing, and I guess for me, my situation's a little bit different in terms of having had bariatric surgery. So there's just different things to consider for me. Obviously, no one's an expert in that, and there's other resources I can use as well. But definitely need to get back onto um, the regular eating and the protein after exercising, I think, because yeah, did not feel good today.
Yeah, that's real tough. And I think we all do get into spaces where we're a little bit like that and we do find ourselves training and then we're like, oh, actually my arms feel heavy or I feel like crap. When was the last time I did eat? Or maybe those few rice crackers I ate out of Jack's lunchbox probably aren't, gonna do me much of a service. So I think we can all be we're all sort of a few steps away from being in that space. I think, do you carry gels with you, Taylor, or anything like
I'm too
that?
scared to try them.
Fair enough.
But I
Look,
do have some that I'm planning on trialing out before my race next month.
yeah, what about electrolytes?
I took electrolytes with me this morning, but I just don't think I had enough.
Yeah, yeah. The
Probably
other
didn't help that
thing
I
that
started my day with a headache and 2 ibuprofen before my run.
Yeah. So the other thing that people, including myself, are quite partial to is lollies. So
Mm.
quite often we're like all about the chomps and the gels and all of that. But I don't know, you just about need a second mortgage to buy the chomps if you're going to eat those every session. And personally, again, gels. I mean, I'm getting used to those again now that I'm paddling and I'm not coordinated enough to eat and paddle. I don't know how anyone does that, so I'm having to really force myself to drink gels. But I think, using it's really important, and we'll cover this off a little bit more in the other sessions as well, to have foods that you like, because when you're working hard, when you're out biking or running or doing whatever, if you've got, we're not robots, yeah? So if we've got a whole lot of stuff that we hate or that makes us shudder and go like that every time we have it, we're less likely to eat or take on that fuel, especially when we're hurting or having a bit of a hard time, which does happen in endurance sport. So having things that you enjoy. So and you might carry a range of foods. I don't know what distances you're in particular covering, but things like lollies, pretzels, little bliss balls, and you've got to work out what your gut likes as well. Some things will work for some people, not for others. Just working out what your preferences are there, but you don't have to have gels if you don't like them. You don't have to spend a lot of money on chomps or whatever they call them these days. You can totally get by with lollies, pretzels, shapes, little bliss balls, cut up bits of whatever muesli bar you like. It's just playing around, and if you're running into issues, gastric, GI tract issues, or urgency or reflux or anything like that, then we need to evaluate what that is. Is it too much fructose? Is it too much fiber? What is it? Yeah. But yeah, just I'm always one for carrying Kai, particularly since being a parent and just not being as switched on as I used to be with fueling myself, because even if I am out for an hour session, sometimes I actually need to eat in that 1 hour session because I get in my boat and I'm like, actually, I just haven't eaten enough to do these efforts and I'm going to have to take something on. So always, do you carry a vest or a camelback or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like always just having food in that might be a strategy. Food or like lollies, a gel. If you're thinking about using gels in your race next month, please start trying them this
Yeah.
week.
That's my plan this week. Yeah.
And do it near a toilet.
This is the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just guess it's tricky, like, because my capacity is so limited with my stomach, just trying to figure out, what works best. But anyway, very informative. So thank you, Jade.
Yeah. Yeah, and just looking for those concentrated but
Yeah.
lower what am I trying to say? Like lower bulk sources. So
Yeah, like lower volume.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Lower volume, higher octane,
Yeah.
and testing them out. Yeah. And look, again, we'll cover this next week. Sorry, Ray, I know we're going grossly over time.
No time
But
for
the
a
other
show.
thing I would say is that the sports nutrition guidelines are like 60 to 90 grams an hour. That's all well and lovely if you can tolerate it. So some people can, like I've worked with high performance athletes that are taking in 90 to 100 grams an hour and they're working at a really, really high intensity, not running. So, generally cycling, that are taking in significant amounts of fuel an hour and managing to, it works really well for them. I've also worked with female athletes in particular, and a few guys actually, that are 40 grams an hour. And if we push them any more than that, they become really unwell and they stop performing. So basically, when I work with people individually, I'm basically finding their maximum tolerated amount of carb, and that's what we go with. Yeah. So start low, go slow. That's my slogan. Anything's better than nothing.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Jade. As always, we'll have another whip round, see if there's any other questions, whether they're for Jade or for me, about training in general. Gareth, I got your messages on the chat before, but if you do have any other questions, feel free to add them in and we'll cover them off before we go on, wrap things up. Jade, you keep talking about going overtime. There is no time limit. I just gave you some suggestions on how long I normally talk for. When it's an interesting topic like this that everyone seems to have appreciated, there is no time limit. So don't panic or stress. And next time, if you need to talk longer, just talk as long as you need to.
Oh,
It's
cool.
always
That's good.
interesting.
I'm on breeze time now, so sorry about that. I get very passionate about sports nutrition. It's my baby. So if anyone gets a bit bored, then just put your hand up and I won't be offended.
Yeah. Now, everyone shuffled around on my screen. I think I covered off everyone. Um, Going around the second time, it's going to be a totally different order based on where people are. And as people start unmuting and talking, it will probably shuffle everyone again. So, Jess, you're on the left-hand edge of my screen now. Any further questions, comments, or points from you?
No more questions from me. Thank you.
Perfect. Taylor, you're next. Jamie? Jason? Diane?
All good, thank you.
Tanya? And Gareth, I see nothing further in the chat. So we'll wrap things up. I will set up that chat in the Qwik Kiwi VIP group. If anyone does have anything specific they want Jade to cover next time when she's talking about training, fueling, recovery, and red flags, that will be 2 weeks away, I think, from memory, end of August. Thanks for your time this evening, Jade. It's greatly appreciated, and a fantastic topic. And it's awesome having someone with such a wealth of knowledge and experience talking as a guest presenter. So thank you for your time this evening.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you all again in a fortnight.
Thanks, Jade.
Thanks, Jade.
No worries.
Awesome. Thank you.
See ya.
See you later.
Thank you.